Hey, hey, hey. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. Listen, I am so glad y'all here. Fall is my absolute favorite, but I will tell you, child, it's sometimes hard for me to get out of the bed. I still even got the little line in my head from my headscarf, just laying there, sleeping hard. I went to the Beyoncé concert here in Kansas City uh Sunday, and I very rarely get out late because uh, those of you who've known me for a really long time, you know that I go to bed about 9:30, start winding down about 8:30, and my brain don't work much after those times. And the concert was scheduled to start at 8, and my understanding was that Beyonce likes to make sure that 90% of her tickets are scanned before she starts her concert. And I don't know what else happened, but that concert started at 9:52 p.m. But like a planful saint, I took a nap in advance Sunday afternoon just to make sure I was ready. And yeah, a couple things. Don't matter if when you get home at 2:30 in the morning and you used to be in bed at 9:30, honey, you be a little sleep sick is what I call it. So, I got my little stuff ready for bed. I think by the time I finally went to sleep, it was probably 3:30 in the morning. I have seen 3:30 in the morning exactly 2 times in my life. One time I was pregnant and in labor, and I'm not sure if I was awake, actually. I might have been asleep. I slept through most of that thing. And the second time, I had to get up to go to the bathroom. I don't see those hours. Sometimes God likes to make my mind or give me something in my dreams, and I wake up about 3 o'clock, but I am not awake. I capture those thoughts down and I go right on back to sleep. Let me know what y'all think about this. But so I don't have an alarm. Well, honestly, I do have an alarm, but it's set for well after the time I'm supposed to get up. And it's a hatch alarm. The light comes on like it's the sun coming up, and I've got it set to little birds chirping. You can make a bunch of different sounds, but I got birds chirping. And of course, I did not have that hatch alarm set at all for Monday after the Beyoncé concert because we want to sleep in as long as we need to. I wake up about 7:34, and I also have only seen that hour as a wake up time a couple of times in my life as well, because typically I wake up about 5 o'clock, 4:45 ish or so. And when I woke up, my head just hurt. My body seemed like it hurt, and I wasn't doing a whole lot of moving at the Beyoncé concert, believe it or not. I was watching the shenanigans, and I loved every minute of it, baby. Let me tell you what God know, child. I was watching people in the full essence of their expression of whatever it was they wanted to express, and Miss Beyonce brought that all out of them, and I couldn't have been more thrilled. I'm not gonna say proud because I didn't have any connection to any of these people, but I just got so much excitement out of just watching everybody. It was a fun time. And but when I woke up, child, I just I just hurt. All over. I could barely get my eyes open. I was tired beyond belief. My head hurt, and I had not had one alcoholic beverage. I was hydrating. I worked out that Sunday morning at the stairs, and I was just exhausted, and it also almost felt like it wasn't quite worth it. Sidebar here, I need to know why folks just don't like Beyonce. I like her anyway, so I'm biased. I often say in my sessions, me and Beyonce, we got the same 24 hours, but she clearly used hers differently to me. But when Beyonce up there singing and dancing and flipping and looking all gorgeous and doing all her things and being so nice and pouring into people, at least that's how it seemed, child. I just wonder how is it that somebody, could just be so anti Beyonce. Whatever. Sidebar. But it gave me my experience Monday morning gave me a sense of how I might be getting on people's nerves when I wake up. because my natural way is I just wake up and I be so excited, honey. Like the morning is my time to shine. There's a song called Friday's My Day to Play. I would sing it to y'all, but y'all don't, I mean, y'all know I'm really, I can't sing for real. Morning, honey, that's my time. Me and my grandma used to be up, just the two of us with the chickens. I don't even know what we was talking about. Just up and happy. And even though I cannot sing in the mornings, I'm gonna get my singing in because I'm just excited, honey, just to be on this side of the dirt. And I can only imagine that if you ain't a morning person and you got that feeling that I had when I was sleep sick, because that's what I'm calling it. Monday morning, I probably really do bother you. And I don't know, about 10 o'clock, I said, well, maybe some coffee will help. And I drank some coffee, and my goodness, it did help. So for the first time, I was like, oh, people need coffee. Like I don't need coffee. I just like how it tastes. And I was like, I needed some coffee to wake up. And I wonder what that means for us. Here in the United States, because I'm not sure if you're familiar with the historically Black college, Morgan State University, but several people were shot this week in a mass shooting at the university. And as far as I can tell from the video, it looks like there were people involved and that those people are still on the loose. Um, and there are a couple things that we can depend on when there's a mass shooting. One is thoughts and prayers. And let me just say, I absolutely hate that the term thoughts and prayers has been hijacked to mean something negative. Someone that I know, their dad died, and I said my thoughts and my prayers are with them. And I got somebody responded in a little sarcastic way. And what was interesting was I meant that I was thinking about her and that I was praying for her. That's what I meant, and I couldn't do nothing about her father dying, and so I was holding her in my thoughts and holding her up to God in my prayers, and I probably should stop using the term because it has such a negative connotation, when we say thoughts and prayers, like in Queen Charlotte, that meant I don't care nothing about what you're going through, and that's just a shame, really, but the term has come to mean that's all I got for you, but the stats are very, very clear. In states where we have more lax gun laws, we are more likely to have more suicides, more mass shootings, and more unjustifiable homicides. The stats are not unclear. And people think that they are safer with guns, but you are more likely to have someone commit suicide by gun, and they have an 85% chance of actually being successful in that feat if they have a gun available to them versus having drugs available to them. States where the gun laws are lax, um, you start to see people take risk associated with guns and gun violence that are just not necessary. And then if you haven't noticed, I'm Black, and African Americans, Black people are more likely to be victims of gun violence than any other group of people. And it is directly related to the numbers of guns that we have in our possession. And for those of us who are civilians, I still can't figure out why we need assault rifles and these military style weapons. I tell the story about when my son went to get two AR-15s, and it was really just an experiment to see if he could walk out of there with them. And he did. And when we got our dog, our Cocker Spaniel Pepper, we were at that place for 3-4 hours with them folk asking us questions and making sure we knew how to take care of Pepper. And that's a sleep sickness of sorts. Have we become so numb that over 500 mass shootings this year doesn't even make anybody's top 10, that we are killing each other because we have access to these guns? It's a sleep sickness. It's happening even in some of the most benign ways. I thought I was lactose intolerant. My stomach just be feeling terrible when I have milk. My son found this guy. He's my son and Miss Nadine Ferris, the two of them together, child. I got to get them to meet because you want to talk about health fanatics. This man don't eat no seed oils. He get his milk shipped down from Wisconsin somewhere. We meet this man twice a week. Anyway, there's a cow, an A2 cow, and most cows used to be A2 cows. And when you, I know some of y'all don't drink cow milk, but just stick with me. When he gave me a full glass of this milk from these A2 cows, which is what all our cows used to be, and I was so nervous. Now the milk kind of yellow looking. It ain't been they ain't made it white. So you got a few things you got to get over. Wasn't nothing wrong with my stomach. Nothing wrong with my stomach. And so I was just like, what they done did to the cow to make it such that my stomach bad? And then what kind of pathology do you have to have that you're willing to do something that's just gonna make people sick, physically ill? I saw that this young girl had been eating those hot Cheetos. Listen, y'all got stuff that got that red dye in it. Is banned in many other parts of the world because it is tied to cancer. How do you make sense of providing people with things that have known carcinogens in it for us to eat? And my little munchkin, he got this app where you put the stuff in and it tells you everything that is wrong with you. I knew somebody was gonna say cow milk is for cows. There we go. I like milk, here's what I tell people when they ask me, do I eat watermelon with seeds or not? And if I um drink milk. I don't drink liquor. I don't smoke cigars. I wear my seatbelt 100% of the time. We all got stuff, right? I'm not talking about individual choices here. I'm talking about institutional decisions at the law level that allow for us to have weapons in our community that are meant for combat, that people would put things in food that are specifically designed to cause cancer. In the United States, 1 in 3 Americans will be impacted by cancer. And we talk about the people and the behavior of the people. And I'm going to push y'all because I consistently see memes that say, well, you got the health of your ancestors because you eat like your ancestors. Sugar. While that might be true, while there might be something specifically related to behavior, when we think that it is just behavior, here's what we miss. It is evidence-based and proven that racism causes your telomeres to be shorter, cause your blood pressure to be up, would likely cause you to have more diseases. And so when we look at the behavior, we miss the main part of the story, which is this is systemically designed by people now who are lacking the empathy to care anymore, I think. I just learned that the Biden administration just bypassed almost 2 dozen laws to reinforce a border wall at the southern border of the United States. Now, I'm not an open border person, but the difference between that decision and former President Donald Trump having people standing outside chanting, build the wall, build the wall, build the wall. Ain't no difference, sugar. It's a sleep sickness. There are 11 million Irish people in this country undocumented. And I ain't never heard nobody talking about how we're going to keep Irish people out of this country. Why do you think that might be? Why do you think that might be? Why do you think that might be? This week I got my breast exam. If you're a woman over 40, you should get your mammograms. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And, when I was 41, they said you have dense breast tissue, which means that the regular mammogram is not likely to be sufficient for you. So you should get the secondary exam. And it's a 3D, and it's better able to see. So I'm like, okay, fine. When they tell me that, they also tell me that it's more expensive. And then they also say that insurance will not cover it. That was when I was 42, 41. So I have every year gotten both exams, both exams. But for some reason, this time when they put me in a little waiting room, I see a little pamphlet. It was a little bitty sheet of paper saying that people with fatty tissue are less likely to need this 3D mammogram, and people with dense breast tissue are more likely to need this 3D exam, the one that's more expensive. And then they break down a few of the race stats, and the race stats suggest that Black women have denser breast tissue or tend to, and white women tend to have fatty tissue, or non-Black women tend to have fatty tissue. And immediately, my M tunnels go up. Now, what you say, child? Then I'm going through my exam and I'm like, if this first one don't catch what I got, but the second one will catch it if I got it, why wouldn't I just do the second exam? I'm looking at the equipment of the first exam and I'm thinking, what this thing cost? $500,000 at least? You got this technician here running it. What if then I go to this next exam, this next machine that seemed like it's just the one. I have no idea how much it costs, but it seemed far less involved than this thing that was in this first one. And so I'm like, why I got to do the first one at all? Why don't I just do the second one? Why does anyone have to do the first one at all? Where you got to smash me within an inch of my breast life, and when you could just roll this 3D mammogram thingy over, and it's more accurate and we have better view, why wouldn't everybody just do the 3D one, and why don't we skip out on this smashing situation? I ain't a physician. I don't know what the answer to that question is. But here's what I'll tell you based on my experiences with mass shootings and the fact that people tend to think that many of these things are related to um, victims being Black, and that even though that is not true, it's related to food and the fact that people who tend to have access and resources tend to not have food apartheid areas ever, don't have to worry about ever getting their food from convenience stores. I think about border walls and the skin color of people who we like to let in and let out. And then I realized that, yeah, in 100% of the institutions in this country, there's disparities based on race, and breast health is no different. So you won't tell me we ain't checking our own breasts. That's the problem. You want to tell me that it's how we eating, that's the problem. And what I will tell you is that why I got to buy this 3D mammogram and it costs more. And why is insurance not paying for the second one, but it paid for the first one? I bet you if it was fatty tissue that needed the 3D mammogram, it'd be paid for, it'd be covered, and we wouldn't even be having this discussion. It's a sleep sickness, you see. And I don't always recognize it because I get my sleep. I get my sleep. You see what I mean? Like, I'm not sitting around in the world looking for racism to smack me in the face every day. But it's just so funny how racism just tends to keep smacking me in the face every time. And then when you're sitting around talking to people about it, the primary things you get to hear are, why you always talking about race? I got one last point. A couple years ago, I was doing a virtual session, and my screensaver is a piece of artwork that Yvette Saber did for me. And it's a picture of myself, and then it says Black Lives Matter next to it. And it's got a red and a green and a black bar next to a beautiful piece of work. I might post a picture of it later. And when I was getting ready to put the group into the breakout sessions, I swiped, and you saw my wallpaper for just like a brief second, and I put everybody in their breakout sessions. I don't think none of it. Black lives do matter. And for the people who say all lives matter, yep, including the Black ones. Yeah, including the Black ones. And people understand this as it relates to something like wealth. If we were like, poor people's lives do matter, nobody would say, well, rich people's lives matter too. I say that, and then like 2 weeks ago, somebody just said some foolishness like that to me, but whatever. Typically, when we're talking about privileges, we talking about breast cancer. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Last month was blood cancer awareness. Nobody's gonna say, "Well, what about my type of cancer?" At least I don't. At least I don't think that that's how it works. It's like this particular month is dedicated to breast cancer awareness. Like that's what we do. So I got a call that said that somebody had seen my wallpaper and they were upset. And I was like, well, I'm sorry they're upset. This was a coaching class. Now, this didn't have nothing to do about race or nothing. I was teaching leaders how to coach. And I'd already done so in person, and they got the best results they'd ever had. And so we had another couple sessions on the books, and they eventually got canceled. And here's what I found out yesterday or this week. One of their employees told me that because I looked different than the participants, and they all pretty much were white and male. There were exactly two other women in this audience of 100, and maybe a half a dozen Spanish speaking folk whose ethnicity I could not tell, and everybody else was white and male. And and a white man says to this person who's talking to me this week, and he goes, "Well, I mean, we just gonna go with somebody else. Like we're not gonna use her. You know why, And she's like, I don't know why. And for a split second, I was surprised, like split second. And then I realized that what I really felt was disappointment because you willing to hurt your own self, harm your own culture because of your bigoted racist ideas. And there are people who would say to me, well, Nicole, why don't you just make your background some flowers or something? Again, we're going to focus on behavior instead of the system of issues that are problematic. So, my lovelies, based on my experience with the Beyoncé concert on Sunday, here's what I propose for you. I believe that regardless of if you are a morning person or a night person, you should be able to enjoy the likes of concerts 3 hours long like Beyonce's into perpetuity. And I think that there's a way for us to think about systemically how we handle concerts. And that would mean that they should start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and go to 6. And in that case, nobody had to have any sleep sickness. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. We got work to do.